Every single student deserves high quality, engaging, relevant, equitable, and rigorous science learning opportunities. Every student deserves that. That's a pretty high bar, pretty high expectations. And so we think daily about how do we support teachers and students having those opportunities in this really rural, remote state of South Dakota.
We support kindergarten through high school teachers at all levels. We understand that at the elementary level, teachers have a lot of pressure to concentrate on math and reading, and sometimes students only learn about science by reading and not by doing. So at the middle school level, they come in and they have not had to practice in the science and engineering that we would hope that they should. And so we support teachers at the middle and high school levels in those practices as well as in content.
So what's the other side? The other side needs to be blue.
They deserve to be able to be involved in the excitement and the accessibility of the science that's happening here.
Students love science. If you walk into a classroom and say, I'm here to talk to you about science, they start screaming with joy. And they can think of nothing better.
Oh my gosh! You gotta try these on! So if it hits this, it moves. So let's take this. We need more tape to hold it together. No, it's too heavy. Yeah.
I have been in education for almost 30 years, and this is the opportunity to work with kids, work with adults, work with science, and connect all those pieces together. Being able to leverage the exciting and amazing things that are happening at Sanford Lab, and also to bring kids here and see and have them experience the science, that's pretty amazing. That's a really powerful opportunity. The immersive experience that Sanford Lab provides through our education and outreach, and probably specifically our curriculum units, is that we leverage that unsettled science. And then we create 5 to 15 hours of engaging science activities that are connected to state standards, that allow students to be inquisitive and to wonder and be curious.
If you can put opportunities in front of students for them to be the scientist and do their own questioning and their own exploration and come to their own aha moments, they're going to be more excited. They're going to understand better what it means to be a scientist and have that excitement of discovering something new.
Yeah, and maybe you have really strong motors
And then we try to go deep rather than broad. So they get lots of opportunities, the students get lots of opportunities to explore deeply the questions that they have related both to the science that's happening here at Sanford Lab and to science that they experience in each and every day in their own community.
And one of the ways that we are able to do that through the lab is to take what is considered unsettled science, something that doesn't have a definitive answer yet, something where we are still coming up with questions, where we are still researching, where we're still learning new things, and help students walk through the process. What they're able to do is take this unsettled science and say, we did the legwork, we did everything right, we asked all the right questions, and this is our best explanation.
I want all of my students to get to talk, to get to handle the materials, to get to write, to get their ideas heard. And by using that lens, we create equity in the classroom.
We try very hard to frame our questions and to craft all of our experiences with students in a way that every single student feels that their voice matters, that their opinion is valued, that they have expertise that they can offer to the rest of the group.
We're trying to think about how all students would relate to the topic. In science, we call it a spectrum. That's a long word, but it basically means a pattern of life. You have to have different ways for them to learn. So some students learn best by reading, some students learn best in other ways, verbally or so forth. The more ways you can have in the curriculum units for them to learn, then you have a better chance of reaching all the students.
One of the most powerful strategies involves making sure that all students, whether they're working in groups, whether they're working by themselves, have that access.
We want to welcome them and we want to invite them. We need them to see science or math or any STEM field for that matter as a tool that works for them to solve personal problems, to solve community problems, that it's a tool that they feel confident using, it's a tool that they are excited about using, and we're thinking about the resources that communities have or the challenges that communities have, and how can we make sure that even though we're using the science of Sanford Lab to start the unit or to start the learning, how do we then make sure we connect it to where they are in their own context so that they're getting what they need when they go back to their situations to be able to feel empowered to use science or math or STEM or whatever it is to be an informed and productive and successful citizen.
For the students who are able to come visit us, there are a few tours that we can take them on, and yes, those are more of a, oh, hey, look at this, and isn't this really great, and to get that excitement and inspiration going.
And you would make sure that you got that on your hat. This lets you see where you're going.
Field trips are a special challenge because we want to make sure that students enjoy their time here, that they're engaged, that they connect science and having fun. We do challenge them, we do expect them to think. We tell them along the way that this is not a day off from school. We still expect their minds to be on. Something even as simple as putting on a hard hat to tour the hoist room. You know, we tell them early on, okay, before we can go to the hoist room, you have a test. And the test is to make sure that your hard hat fits appropriately. And this is a time for them to still have their thinking caps on.
We try to pair, for example, a tour where they might get to see the cool, amazing engineering that occurs with the hoist room. But let's pair that with an engineering design challenge that says, all right, given these materials, how would you get something up a distance?
Oh, we did it! Mom, we did it! Wait, sit down.
Usually jump right in. And so along those activities, we have a lot of questions that we try to ask them and connections that we try to get them to make between what they're doing, what we have going on here at the lab, and we hope also what they could potentially be doing.
Only our students that live way out west have the opportunity to come here. So equity is important to us. We want everybody to have the opportunity to learn about the cool science that's happening here. So if they can't come to us, we're going to go to them. We go out to schools across the state and do presentations for classes. Those presentations can be 30 minutes to about an hour. We are sharing the interesting, cool things that are happening here, but we're also really hoping that we inspire students to want to know more. So again, just inspiring that curiosity and wonder.
One of my favorite parts of my job is to work with professional development and to bring teachers together in a room. What we do with professional development is we make sure we create this space and place where they can come together and talk about good questions that we pose to them or a little bit of content. Oftentimes we'll bring in some of the science content that's being studied from the lab, and then we ask them to work with each other. And their favorite parts, every time we get comments back from professional development, their favorite part is the connections they make with their colleagues across the state and the things they learn when they talk to each other about what they've done in their classrooms, the different resources they're using.
The best part is that we are taking teachers that already have a ton of expertise but might not identify themselves as science learners, as science educators, helping them build their confidence so that they can take experiences from here back to their classroom.
All we are is a creator of experiences and an asker of questions to help inspire and to bring them together to do that. And you put a situation or a scenario in front of them, and collectively, collaboratively, they solve that problem. They figure out, oh, I can do this in my classroom. We ask hard questions that they wrestle with, and probably that they wrestle with individually every single day, but together, collaboratively, collectively, they can answer together.
Picture yourself teaching something that doesn't have a definitive answer yet. So we will start them with something that they may not be able to completely finish or completely wrap their head around. They want to know if they were right. Did I do this correctly? Is there something else I could have done? And once they get past the discomfort, they can really see how they could use that same technique in their classroom. You know, the students have come to an answer, and at the end it's okay to say, I like the way you thought about this. And when students say, well, am I right? It's okay to say, well, I don't know. We're still learning.
So the brilliance of the professional development is not necessarily the content itself, but rather the connections that they're making and the experiences that they're sharing with each other, because they learn so much from each other. So these professional development experiences give them that chance, a place and a space and good content to talk about so they can learn from each other. And that's the secret sauce, actually, in the professional development.
At Sanford Lab, we leverage the amazing science opportunities that are happening right here. Students can visit Sanford Lab through our field trips, both face-to-face and now virtual. Schools can bring Sanford Lab right into the school through both our virtual field trips and our interactive class presentations. Students and teachers can do a deep dive into science learning by using our phenomena-based, three-dimensionally designed curriculum units. And teachers can add to their science teaching toolbox through our professional development opportunities. You know, we really encourage you to begin a conversation with our team. We cannot wait to hear from you.